Daniel ran through like a workout yesterday after practice. What did you see from him there?
Yeah, I think he's working hard every day to get better. He's doing everything we ask him to do. He did a good job in a walkthrough yesterday. We put him through some, basic agility, short space stuff. I would say that he's throwing the ball well, but there's a lot of things we still have to see. Throwing the ball in short space and going through a walkthrough are very, very different than going through, team periods and being able to see how this guy reacts, moves in the pocket, which is really our biggest concern is how he can protect himself on the field. So today will tell us a lot, and then tomorrow hopefully make the final decision.
How do you expect to split those first team snaps of practices between the two of them? Or do you?
Yeah, I mean, we'll mix guys in. We do that anyway, every day anyway. So we'll go ahead and mix them. We'll see how Daniel's working. We'll see him through individuals and see how his body's responding. The more we think he can do, the more we'll let him take. And then Cole will get his share as well.
Bruce Beck.
Hey, Joe, has the 4 straight wins given your players a noticeable confidence? And if so, is it a quiet confidence or is it a bravado? And what do you want from them in that regard?
Well, I think the confidence they get is coming from practice execution. And they're playing confident in games because they performed in practice. And they know the guy next to them is also executing in practice so they can play aggressive with their techniques. Look, confident or not, what I expect them to do is go out there and compete every day and improve on a daily basis. And keep looking forward. We talked to them a lot. There's obviously a lot of hypotheticals out there. We talked about this yesterday, and we need to remain focused on what's real. And what's real is this Sunday against Cardinals.
Dougie.
Hey, Joe. It sounds like you're generally not sure what Daniel's status is. Is there any benefit, in your opinion, to not disclosing that? Like, does it make, if you're on the other side, does it make you have to game plan for 2 quarterbacks?
I would say on the other side, it may have to make you game plan for 2 quarterbacks. Be completely just transparent and honest with you guys, I don't have an answer for you right now on that. I really got to see this guy move around the field. And that's just what it is. Look, we want all of our players to be fully healthy and be out there. He did a walkthrough yesterday. He did an abbreviated workout with the trainers that we watched after practice. But that being said, none of those things are what my concern are for him going into Sunday. So until he does some things that I can really see and make, the judgment that he can protect himself and stay out there healthy on the field, I can't give you an answer. I would just be making something up.
And then a question on McKinney. We spoke to Jerome last week, and he kind of spoke about the balance of you want to get in there, but the defense is playing well, so you don't want to mess with it. How do you assess that?
Well, no, look, Zay's only going to make us better when he gets on the field so long as he performs in practice. He's been doing a really good job in practice. His role will keep increasing as we go. The thing I've explained to Zay, and I've told the coaches as well, is we got to be fair to this guy. And this guy's been out of football now. He's a rookie. He hasn't played in preseason. He missed the first, however many games. He comes in against Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. We can't throw him on the field for 50 snaps. We want to kind of get him in, get him used to the speed of the game, get him on the grass, make some adjustments, start communicating. Gave him a little bit more, reps last week. We'll see how it progresses throughout these next 4 weeks. But I expect his role to keep increasing, and I do expect his play to keep improving because he's going to be working with the team out there. So he's done a great job working for us. It's not easy being on IR as a rookie and being out of that and getting all your, mental reps while you're watching everyone else on the grass. And then when all of a sudden you're taking off and you're putting with the team, you're really doing everything for the first time. Even though you've heard the calls, you've made the calls looking at tape, it's a lot different when you're on grass and you're adjusting to the formation, or you've got to go ahead, and disguise something pre-snap and then get to your landmark post-snap. So he's done a great job preparing. The coach has done a good job keeping him, up to speed with what we're doing game plan-wise. But again, to be fair to this guy as a rookie, we got to let him come in and progress his career at the right rate and not just throw everything on his plate. It's just not fair to him as a player.
Thanks, Joe.
Tom Rock.
Joe, one of the guys we haven't asked you about in a while is Andrew Thomas, and that's probably a good thing. What have you seen from him? Was there a moment where things clicked in your mind for him? And how has he handled the change in offensive line coaches?
Yeah, I think the entire unit's improved every week. I think Andrew especially, there was a lot of questions about him early in the year. We were getting in, daily press conferences, all that stuff. Look, this guy's never blinked. He's never wavered. One thing about Andrew is he's played aggressive for 60 minutes in every game this season. And I see that in practice every day. He's very intelligent. He's very insightful. He's got that quiet, demeanor to him where he's digesting everything you say. And then when he asks the questions, he has to write smart questions. But I see him playing very aggressive. I see him, playing effectively and see his level of play improving. But that's natural for any rookie through the course of the season of just getting more and more experience, especially with the way he had to start this season. I mean, look, this guy came in baptized by fire. He saw some of the top rushers in the world out the gate. And look, this guy stepped up to the plate and he fought his butt off for 60 minutes and he kept improving and kept improving. And I see him improving every day.
George. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Paul.
The decisions you've made this year as a head coach, all the in-game stuff, when to punt, when to go for it, trick plays, all that stuff. Is a lot of that who you are, or is it a lot of that based on the team you have now, which is you don't score a lot of points, you don't give up a lot of points, and so is that you and how you want to be, or could you see down the road maybe if your team is a big explosive team, you're going to be a different head coach in some of the things you do in game?
I'll always play to the strengths of our players, Paul. So whatever's best for that specific team and that specific game plan, I'll always make the decision that I think is best at that moment. Sometimes that may be punting on a short field, maybe attempting a long field goal, maybe going for it on fourth down. So I'm always going to make the decision. It's not going to look uniform. You're not going to be able to look at some Excel sheet every decision that I've made, because I'm not going to make this thing based on some kind of analytical chart that they say when you should go for two, when you should punt, when you should go for on 4th and 1. To me, there's a big feel of the flow of the game and knowing your team and knowing the opponent they're playing against. So you've got to really know your team. You have to know your strengths. And you have to understand how the complementary football is being played as well. Is it worth going for it on 4th down and giving the ball at midfield if your defense is playing, really well? Do you punt the ball down the field and make them go 95 yards? Basically saying we're confident we're going to get the ball back in 3 plays, and our punt return unit should give us field position to have a fresh set of downs. Or you want to give them the ball at midfield, all right, and give them a shorter field, maybe 15 yards away to get in the field goal range. So to me, it's the balance of how you're playing on all 3 phases of the game, and it's the flow of that specific game. So I know it sounds very gray area and vague. To me, there's a great feel element of it, of knowing what's going on in that game and what I think is going to be best, to win that game.
One constant is, that whole 20-point threshold. Your team is not getting much above 20 points in a lot of these games. So does that really wear on a head coach as far as, look, I don't have a lot of room to play with here?
Nope. Nope, whatever it is. Our goal is to keep this thing close and win in critical situations. So I see an improvement from our team throughout the season on that. We'll do whatever it takes to win, however we got to play. I don't care if we got to hand the ball off 100 times, throw it 100 times. We got to blitz every player, play nothing but, 10 guys back in coverage. But whatever it's going to take each game, we'll do.
Thanks.
Hey, Joe. Pat Graham said a couple weeks ago his job is to reflect the vision of the head coach. And obviously you wouldn't have hired him if you didn't believe you guys were like-minded. I'm just curious, beyond January, with all the time you worked with Pat up in New England, with time or what made you know back then, that you guys were, like I said, like-minded and have a similar vision for what you want to accomplish on a football field?
The previous years that we worked together, up in New England, you find out a lot about each other, going through kind of harder times, rough seasons, long hours. Look, it's not all pats on the backs and conversations. A lot of times me and Pat really challenge each other, when we're working together. There were arguments and different, philosophical questions we had to answer. There were a lot of times that we had to shed some weight in the offseason. Me and him would walk around the fields, in spring before the players got back, and just have a lot of talks about, just how to build a team or what we really believe in, or, what we think are priorities to accomplish in terms of, setting a culture. So, look, we always found time, even when we didn't work together. Me and Pat would always find each other at the combine, make sure we found time to talk ball, and he was a guy that if I had a question on something that was going on or how to handle a situation, he was always a guy I could give a phone call to, and he may shoot me a phone call or text in the same regard. So, again, I think when you work with people and you put in long, stressful hours, you go through some adverse situations, you really find out, who those people truly are. And when you come out on the other side, there's someone you can trust, then that's someone you want to go forward with.
And Zero?
Hey, Joe, I have 2 quick things here. One's a follow on Pat a little bit, Graham. Is there any part of him that his demeanor is a little bit different behind closed doors than that kind of prim and proper Ivy League vibe that he exudes on our Zoom calls? He gets after his guys pretty good behind closed doors, does he not?
Pat has a lot of depth to him. So, yeah, there's, I think we all do. I think we're all different in front of a camera than we are maybe in a classroom than we are on the field. I think you've got to hit the field with a certain level of juice and urgency that you can't just walk around whispering in players' ears and get them to respond. That's just not our personality. That's not the personality of really any coach on our staff. So, Pat's got a tremendous personality. He's very funny. He's very intelligent. He's very insightful. He's great to have around. He gives great perspectives on a lot of things. Look, I really can't say enough positive things about him.
And with regard to Leonard Williams, I know you were extremely complimentary of his personality and what he brings, in terms of his attitude. But I wonder what you're seeing technically from him this year, and how he's meshed with his position coach and with Pat. And these numbers are starting to build up for him more so than they have in his career.
Yeah, look, first off, he's freakishly talented. So there's only so much you're going to teach this guy from a skill set wise. Now you have to refine the technique, the fundamentals. You don't really emphasize the finish. I think Spence has done a really good job with Leonard in those areas. And the one thing that really shows up, I think, the way Leonard's playing is he has tremendous finish right now of getting to the quarterback or in pursuit getting to the runner. He's making a lot of disruptive plays. A lot of things don't show up on stat sheets, but if they're doubling him, someone else is single. Where's the pressure coming from? So there's a lot of things that Leonard does by just kind of the caliber of athlete he is. But to me, the finish he's playing with is really making a big difference for us as a team.
Thank you, Joe.
Was that two more? Dunleavy and Greer. Dunleavy.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Ron.
You have 4 free agents you brought in, after you were hired, obviously, who are making huge impacts. Blake, Logan, Bradbury, and Graham Gano. I'm wondering if you could share some of the insights that went into free agency with you, Dave, Kevin. We want the best players we can afford? We want guys who can be here, make immediate impacts? We want guys who are going to be here for the long term, or foundational guys? How did you approach free agency? Because it seems like you guys hit on all those guys.
Well, I think there's a lot of elements to everything you just said right there. We obviously I thought we worked very well together, just collectively sharing a vision and what we're looking to build this team with. I laid out the way I saw this team being built. We had a lot of conversations in terms of what the best way of going about that was. I thought Dave and his staff did a great job in terms of identifying who's out there, who's available. And then to me, there was such a key element in bringing in the right kind of people. And I think all the guys you just named, they're very capable players, but they're very good people, and they're very good teammates. And when you have guys who are good people in the locker room, who are good teammates, they're passionate about what they're doing, they work hard every day, you're going to improve as a team. That's going to happen. And to me, those guys have all made a lot of impact. And it's not just because of a skill set or a talent level. It's because of the way they come to work every day as professionals, and the way they work on the field, and the way that they care about their teammates, and their teammates help raise them up when they're having a tough time because they care about them as well.
Coaches always talk about constantly improving, Joe. You signed Graham and Logan in late August. Where would this team be without those guys?
Well, look, those guys done a tremendous job for us right there. I mean, Logan's really built in a lot of the versatility and depth we have on defense. This guy does a lot of things behind the scenes. He does a lot of things in meetings. Logan's a guy that challenges you constantly. He's the guy you go in there with in a meeting, and you better present something to him, and you better have all the answers, because he's going to ask 35 questions, and they're all very good, insightful questions, and he's going to make you think and confirm that what you've presented to that team is the best sound plan for them to have success. And he doesn't do that in a testing way. He just does it because he wants to be completely thorough and make sure we're on the same page and everyone understands how it's supposed to be played. And I'll tell you what, Graham's really done a great job for us with the field goals, with the kickoffs. This guy's got a great temperament. He's a competitor. I'm glad he's here. He's obviously made a lot of big kicks for us. And look, kicker's one of those positions a lot of times you don't really notice till you don't have one. And then when you don't have one, that's all you can think about.
Last one here, Greg.
Coach Graham was talking earlier about tailoring game plans to each specific opponent. I just was wondering, is there any specific benefit to the fact that you faced Russell Wilson last week, and now this week you're going up against a similar strong-arm mobile quarterback in Kyler Murray?
I mean, look, you could say that there's elements that are the same of these guys in terms of their mobile quarterbacks, big arms, can extend plays, can run down the field. At the same time, I don't think it's the best thing to do is try to paint these guys with a broad brush and say that they're the same quarterback. I don't see that at all. I think they're both very talented, very capable. They're both explosive, but they both have their own play style. They both do things within their own unique personality, and you have to know how to play each one different. And there's a lot of subtleties that we see on tape, and there's some broad strokes that our players have to understand are very different as well. But one of the misconceptions I've been asked about a lot this week and I've heard is just because someone can run and throw, does that help you? Well, I mean, look, we're playing Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. That's not the same as Russell Wilson. It's not the same as Murray. These are all very different quarterbacks, different skill sets. There's just some basic things you can check boxes on. Are they mobile? Yes. Do they have big arms? Yes. Are they explosive? Yes. Are they the same player? No. They're all very different. You better understand how they play within their offense and how they operate to be able to have a chance to have success against them.